ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਰੈਫਰੈਂਡਮ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਪੌਲ ਜੇਕਬ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੇ ਤੱਥ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬੈਕਗ੍ਰਾਉਂਡ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਔਨ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਪੌਲ।
What now?
Welcome on Radio Punjab.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to be with you.
So, can you please share a little bit of your background of being involved with this commission?
Well, I've worked on initiative and referendums in the United States for years, did term limits limiting how long politicians can stay in office, which was very popular throughout the U.S. And then I've been involved in some things around the world, and we were asked to take part in this and provide some advice and counsel as to how to best hold a referendum, and glad to help. We think it's important that people be able to vote and express themselves.
So, how do you see some people question on the commission, on the legacy of the commission, on the validation of commission? How do you respond to that?
Well, this is not a governmental referendum. This is being done privately by Sikhs for Justice, but they're attempting to do it as much as possible using best practices from around the world, and that's why they came to us. And you know, we're people who have a lot of experience. People sometimes see things differently, but we've worked all over the world, and we're trying to share that experience. So, you know, we're not suggesting that somehow we are the font of all knowledge, but we're working closely with the folks who are doing this, and they've been very good about taking advice and trying to do it as best they can.
So, what would you say about this? So, as we can see, there are a number of people waiting in lines. So, is there a possibility of a next referendum happening in Lower Mainland area?
You know, I don't know whether there'll be another one, but I suspect that there will, just because this is an incredible outpouring of people. I've been present for ones that were held in London and in Toronto. They've been held in other places, and it's always been a tremendous turnout. But this is something else. We just talked to people in line who said they'd been in line for 2 hours, and they probably have another 30 minutes or 45 minutes before they get to vote. And people coming in wheelchairs and you know, crutches to get there. So it's always very inspiring when you see people who care enough to come out and vote.
So I have one very interesting question. So people wanted to know that. So who decides the location of who decides the place where the referendum will be happening next?
Well, the Sikhs for Justice will decide where the next referendum will be. They will ask advice as to where to hold it, what sort of building, and usually we try to have a building that's a private place or a public place that people can come to. And of course, in this particular case, there was some problems late where one of the schools said it could be held there, and then said it could not be held there. But those things, you just kind of roll with them as best you can. But I think that the effort will be in other places as well.
My friend have one question.
So, Mr. Paul, so there was there is a school venue was cancelled, Tamanevis Secondary School. So they cancelled because they think there's a poster which Sikh for Justice has. There's a gun barrel, which was pierced by the pen. So the school board is thinking that this is promoting violence. Where else we see a United Nations headquarter has same kind of gun, which the barrel on the front is rounded, which is a United Nations anti-gun violence campaign to stop the violence and the peace talk between the countries. So the Sikh for Justice is doing the same thing, but howsoever that school is cancelled because they think that the youth or the school children, they think that they're promoting a gun culture. So what do you think about it?
Well, I've seen the poster you're talking about, and I think someone could look at it initially and misunderstand. But as soon as you see that it's a pencil, for someone to, because the pen is mightier than the sword. And of course, these have been totally peaceful. Oftentimes in this day and age, people want to look at something and take it to some crazy extreme. That's not right. It's not right to stop people from holding a democratic event, a referendum. And it's obvious, I think, to anyone who's been around these events that they're absolutely peaceful. They're happy. People are trying to express themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with that. So we see this all over the world where someone pulls out something and tries to make it something it's not. And so I think it's a shame here, but you can't stop people from using their democratic rights. You can't stop people from speaking out. They're going to speak out. And that's why, as part of the Referendum Commission, we're glad to facilitate and help people to speak out. We don't have to agree. We don't take a position on how people in Punjab should live and whether they should be a separate state or part of India. That's for people from Punjab to decide. But we do want to facilitate them making that decision in a peaceful way. And that's what these referendums are all about. So to suggest that it's some sort of violence, there's been lots of violence over this issue. And it's really sad and tragic. But this is the opposite of that. And so that needs to be recognized.
So one last question is, so you think that referendum, the school referendum that has been, the venue was cancelled, so is it an interference of India, or it is a Canada democratic value for peaceful vote, because they give the same right to Quebec too. They held a referendum in the Quebec. So we as a Canadian also, we are a Sikhs, but we are a Canadian also.
Right.
We also enjoy the rights as everybody else enjoy, as the Quebecer is enjoying.
Right.
So you think the Canadian government should step up and help to facilitate this peaceful referendum?
Well, I think that they should make certain that the laws of Canada are enforced. And I believe it's true in Canada, I know it's true in the United States of America, that you can't offer a venue like a school and then pull it back from somebody, and especially if you don't have any real grounds. Obviously, if it was an event that was going to be violent, you could, but that's not the reality. That is a big mistake. So I think it's a big mistake. I don't know what the impetus was, whether it's Indian pressure or whether it's just a mistake that somebody made at the local level. But it is a mistake, and it ought to be rectified, because you have a right, if you're a Canadian, regardless of whether you're a Sikh or you're not, or whatever your religion, your ethnicity is, you have a right to speak out and be heard. And the schools should facilitate that for everybody. And so I think it's a shame, but I don't know what caused it. I just know that it should be fixed. And the next time someone seeks to have a event at a school that's peaceful, they ought not to have politics get in the way.
So thank you.
Thank you.
I have one last question. This question is a little bit out of box. Based on your experience with referendums, do you think that this referendum can take place in Punjab region of India?
Well, from my knowledge of what's going on in the Punjab region, it could not take place there without people being arrested and imprisoned. And that's really, really sad. And it's the reason why it's being held all over the world, is because it can't be held in Punjab. You know, I believe people in any region, anywhere in the world, have a right to decide their own future. Whether that's in the United States, whether that's, maybe Puerto Rico doesn't want to be a territory anymore, that's up to the people of Puerto Rico. I think that's true around the world. And I don't know how they would vote in Punjab, but I do know that they don't have that opportunity. And so we're glad to be able to help folks who want to give Sikhs all over the world a chance to speak out and to cast a vote.
Mr. Jacob, what's your experience? Like, in how many countries, or if you can name it, the countries you already worked in the referendums?
Well, I've worked in the U.S. I've also been to London and worked on things there. I've been in Taiwan, a number of other countries, and most of my referendum experience is in the United States of America. That's where I cut my teeth and have worked for decades. And it's really only recently that I've gotten involved in things like this and in events happening in other countries. But look, we're all the same. We look different. We have different languages, but we're all looking for the same thing, and that is to be able to live our lives and to say what we want to say and to feel confident in where we live, that our society treats us with respect, and that's all about democratic processes and accountability. And so I think starting, look, lots of people can grab a gun, and very few problems get solved that way. And here are people grabbing ballots, and I think that's the best way to solve problems. And so this is something that I've had some experience around the world. I'm looking forward to have more. But I think anybody who is standing here today would see what's happening and say, this is good. Whether I agree with the folks who are the majority of folks and the way they're voting or not, this is beautiful to see people working for a democratic change.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Can you spell your full name?
It's Paul, Paul, and then Jacob, Jacob.
Thank you.